everyone. Today our objective is to use similes to elaborate our middle to describe how characters' actions contribute to a sequence of events. The craft of similes is when an author compares two things using the words like or as. As good writers, we really want to show the reader instead of telling the reader what something might look like so that they can see and imagine better in their mind a character, a setting, or even an action. An example of a simile could be her eyes shine bright like diamonds. Notice that word like, and the author is comparing someone's eyes to being shiny like diamonds. Diamonds are known to be very bright and shiny. Another example could be my stomach growled as loud as a lion. Notice that clue word of as part of a simile, and the author is comparing someone's stomach to growling as loud as a lion. So if we wanted the reader to understand that we were really hungry and food is needed fast, we can make that comparison of a stomach growling to the sound that a lion could make as well. So that's the craft that we're going to try out in our writing today. Very quickly, when I left off yesterday, we wrote our beginning, and today we're really going to focus on elaborating that middle main idea of a time when we helped someone or something. My topic is helping Wilma, and today it's going to be about how I helped Wilma with her groceries using similes in my writing. When I start my new paragraph, same as always, we're going to show the reader we're starting a new paragraph by indenting. And I want to quickly reread the last sentence I left off at in my beginning, so it's going to help me transition into that first middle. We were headed to Walmart, and only a few blocks from our house, our plans quickly changed. So notice I've left the reader kind of wondering, well, how did your plans quickly change? Something must have happened, and now I'm going to write that sequence of events. So when I indent, I'm going to start by saying just down the street, and this is a phrase that can't stand alone by itself. So I need to put a comma right there to show the reader that I'm going to continue my thinking. Just down the street, I could say I saw, but I want to think about better word choice. I spotted our, Wilma's older, she's in her 80s, but I'm not going to call her our old neighbor. I'm going to say elderly. Elderly is a nicer way to say old, elderly, but if I needed to give the reader a context clue of what elderly means, I could do that. Our elderly neighbor. And the reader's going to need to know her name because after all, that's who I'm writing about as someone that I helped. So I had to capitalize Wilma's name. She's a specific detail. I'm going to put another comma to close off that extra information. I spotted our elderly neighbor, Wilma. She wasn't just walking. She was struggling. She was struggling, and she was dragging, it was like a metal shopping cart, And actually, before I put metal, it was kind of a flimsy, meaning it wasn't very well made, a flimsy metal shopping cart. And it was loaded with groceries. Shopping cart loaded with groceries. That's the end of my complete thought, so I'm going to put a period right there. We always need to make sure that we use our punctuation marks to end sentences. But I want to show the reader more about what Wilma looked like and why Wilma needed this help. So Wilma usually has like these really crisp, clean clothes. Wilma's usually crisp, and they're plaid shirt, and it looked more like a wilted flower at this point. Remember, in my setting, it's a hot summer day in Florida, so Wilma's usually crisp plaid shirt looked more, what kind of things look droopy or kind of soggy looking? Like a wilted flower shirt looked more like a wilted flower. A wilted flower. And I could give that extra information at the end of the sentence. Droopy from the heat. Or I could say the humidity this time, the humidity. So end of my complete thought, and I'm going to put a period at the end of that sentence before I move on to the next idea. Also, if I wanted to keep continuing to show why Wilma needed help, because she's elderly, I always picture that we call it old lady hair, but I'm not going to call that in my writing. So I'm going to be nice about it and say her poofy. Her poofy hair looked, and again, I want to show the reader, not just tell the reader, it looked like floppy bunny ears. You know, the kind that go off to the side, bunny ears. So this is showing the reader that Wilma really could use a little bit of extra help. So end of my complete thought. And now for my action, it was without even thinking. Again, this phrase can't stand alone. I need to put a comma to show the reader I'm extending my thinking. Without even thinking, I quickly pulled off to the side of the road. Pulled off to the side of the road. And then called out to Wilma. Again, I have to capitalize Wilma's name. She's a specific detail. So I'll put a period right there. For today, I'm going to go ahead and stop my writing. I know that there's more that I have to show the reader, but I want to make sure that you have time to do your writing today. When I reread my work, I want to make sure that I've tried out some of those similes today. So I can point out I know I wrote about her crisp plaid shirt looked more like a wilted flower. So I'm comparing her crisp shirt. Notice the signal word of like, and I'm comparing it to a wilted flower because I wanted to show that Wilma was kind of hot and sweaty because it's that hot Florida summer day. Your job today is to write your middle main idea using similes. Happy writing!